Hello and welcome to the WAPX-FM newsroom. I'm Rebecca Nanney, and today we're talking with Kenny York, the CEO and founder from the Manna Cafe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's what Sarah told me, so I just wanted to check and make sure.
That's you can blame it on me.
Awesome. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what the Manna Cafe does and how you guys help the community and what the community can do for you with the upcoming cold weather and the upcoming holiday season. So let's just jump right in. Can you tell us a little bit of the history of the Manna Cafe?
Yeah, Manna Cafe, we started it in Clarksville. We the week of the flood in 2010. We actually were scheduled to serve our first meal on Paget Lane down by the library, and when the flood hit, we were kind of like, well, what do we do now? And then we got, so we went on with our scheduled meal, and then within a day or two, there was a meeting of the disaster relief people figuring out who was doing what and that type of thing. And at that point, there was nobody to do flood relief food for victims who were displaced, so we jumped in and did that. So awesome. we started doing both. We were going to ease into this, but since then it's just been wide open. We went from just a few pounds of food that was in our warehouse. Our first month in operation through our food box program, we served about 200 families. Now we do that in a day. So we've grown. I think we did the math a year and a half ago, something like that, and we've grown like 3,500%. And
wow,
less than 6 years. We've been here 7.5 years, so it's been a lot of growth. Basically, what we are is we're a mobile soup kitchen. Mm-hmm. So we go out into the community with a food trailer, and we serve hot meals on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and 2 meals on Saturday morning. So we do 5 meals. And we're also a food pantry. We do hand out food boxes to families on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we do that with some commodity food, with dry food like's going on, and we also have a huge food rescue program where we have 2 trucks that are on the road, sometimes 7 days a week, picking up food from local stores, farmers. The Amish community, Second Harvest Food Bank. We have trucks on the road all the time. And the last 4 years, we've distributed about 1.5 million pounds of food a year. And 50% of that is rescue food that we went out and that, a bag of apples may have, one might have been bad, or a bag of potatoes might have, I made a comment at trying to explain where the food came from to some of our clients, and I said, the peach may be fuzzy, and he said, well, all peaches are fuzzy, but maybe a little bit too fuzzy, So we have to sort through that and get it back to our clients. But it's a really good thing. As the winter's getting colder, of course we always need food, because even if you walk in our house and you look at food, a normal person might think, well, they got enough food to get by today. But if you figure that we serve 1,600 to 2,000 families a month, and they're getting their staple box, the one box of dry goods is 30 pounds. Then you figure we do at least another 30 pounds, sometimes way more than that, of produce, bread, and sweets that we rescue. It don't take long to go through that food. So what we try to do is, right now our inventory is lower than it's been in a couple of years. But I'm thinking 3, 4, 5 months out, making sure I have food on the shelf for then. That way I'm not scrambling at the last minute trying to get food in.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So who all do you help? Is it just the homeless community, or do you help, like, if there's an evening meal or a morning breakfast, can anybody come to these that are in need? Right.
Anybody can come to it, and that's one of the misconceptions about Manna Cafe, because we are a voice for the homeless. Mm-hmm. And I've stood on the street corner with the signs and the T-shirts, and I will always be a voice for the homeless, because I feel like they have no voice in a lot of society. But a very small percentage of what we actually do is homeless. Like at our meals, for instance, maybe 40% of the folks that come are homeless. Now, most of them probably have been homeless at a time or place, but we have a lot of families that come. We serve rent. We haven't missed a meal in 7.5 years. Rain, sleet, snow, and until last year, all the meals were outside.
Yeah.
So even in the wintertime when it was 10 degrees, 0 degrees, we'd serve the meals, set up tents, put walls around them, and put heaters in there. Well, even when it was 10 degrees, I remember one time we had our warming center open for guys to sleep, because it was so cold. I went out to the meal, and I saw a mom and 3 kids walking to get a plate of food, and then they sat in a tent and ate it. For a mom to get her kids out in that type of weather, it means that there's a need. Yeah. Our food boxes, probably less than 20% of our food box people come get our food boxes are homeless. We do a lot of work, the working poor who just can't make ends meet or a little short at the end of the month. We do a lot of senior citizens. Mm-hmm. One of the growing things that we do a lot of people who are disabled. Workplace injury or something like that. They're waiting on their disability, and the lawyers tell them, hey, you can't work a job. If you work a job, you'll never get your disability. But their bill collectors are saying, if you don't work your job, you're out on the street. So they're doing this balancing act, trying to stay afloat. So that's where we come in.
Yeah. So with all the work that you do in the community, are you able to see the effects that you're having on everyone in the community, from rescuing food to the evening meals that you serve?
We are. Someone described what we do is trying to fill a bucket with holes in it, because there's always a need, and some people will, but we're really trying to work on a way to the saying, teach people how to fish instead of just providing fish all the time. Mm-hmm. We're doing some things along that way, but we do see success. We see, homeless people who get a job and finally get an apartment. We've had that happen. We've had folks who finally get on their feet, or get a job, and we help them get through the time. We have people come up to us all the time and say, hey, I was there, but y'all really helped us out. We see that a lot, especially through our food pantry. We actually have a husband and wife that used to be our clients that live in Kentucky now, and they'll show up randomly here and there and make a pretty large donation to us because they've gotten on their feet. So it's we see it from all angles. And of course, we see some that relapse, and I was talking to a minister one time, and he said, raising someone from the dead sometimes is not the only part of the miracle. Sometimes you have to heal them of what caused them to die in the first place. With that being said, sometimes getting people housing or getting them on their feet is just half the battle. The other half is teaching them how to live on their feet and not live in the poverty mentality that they've grown accustomed to.
Yeah. Have you noticed that you guys are in need of anything specific, whether it be donations or volunteers?
We're always needing volunteers. We have a very, very small staff compared to what we do. So we're always needing volunteers. You go to our website and sign up and see what the times and the dates and availability is. Monetary, we're a nonprofit, so that means that we have to ask for money. Grants are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So the private donation is really what keeps us going.
Are they able to make those monetary donations online as well? Yeah,
we have that, and you can even do recurring. Or say you can afford $20 a month or $30 a month. I said, $30 a month, basically $1 a day. If you can afford that, that's what keeps our doors open. We love the big checks. We all love the big checks, but the $30 a month is what keeps our doors open because that's what we can pay our bills with. And this time of year, while we don't have a per se clothing ministry, but we do coats, blankets, sleeping bags, hats, gloves, anything that, like if you're walking around campus now, and what you would wear to keep warm in between classes. You think about it, if you didn't have that classroom to go in and warm up, what would you need? Even a day like today or last night that was fairly mild, if you were sleeping outside, it'd be a whole nother story. You would need a lot more covering than you would if you was just going to work. So.
And can they take those donations to your location? Like if they were to drop off food or a big check, they would just take the blankets and stuff to your location?
Yeah, at 1319 Franklin Street. It's right up the road here.
Okay. And is there anything else that you think the community can do to assist you besides volunteering and donation? Do you think there's anything that they could do program-wise?
There's several needs. I mean, there's needs everywhere. You can find a need. One of the things that we haven't met yet that's on the radar, and someone out there may say, well, I want to do something. I want to head something up. Well, one of the things that we're seeing that we haven't been able to fix is hunger for the elderly. While we have people who come in and get food, of course, we can't take it to them. And we get calls every day who, they're elderly and the kids have taken the keys away, or they just can't drive. They can't come and get the food, or they still have their keys and they can still drive, and they can come to us. Of course, we'll load the car for them, but once they get home, they don't have to wait to get it inside. So there's a huge need there that still to be addressed. There's I've gotten in trouble before because I'm such a advocate for the homeless, but there's just not enough shelters in town. There's not enough beds. You figure there's a population of about 500 homeless in Clarksville, and there's 65 beds. So you can do the math. Now, the room at the inn, you can stay at. There's beds available at room in at the inn, but it's only a few months out of the year. From November to November 1st to April 1st. And some churches on a given night, is only 20 beds available that night. A bunch of churches are involved. Yeah. But there's only 20 extra beds available that night. So only so many people. There's a lot of people who are on the waiting list get bumped and end up outside. So that's a huge need, and I feel like that's going to take the community to get behind and say, yeah, we need to do this, because it's not as if you've seen in the news, any town that tries when they get to this point, it's a huge political battle. Yeah. Because developers don't like shelters. But Clarksville's a boom town. I call it the gold rush mentality. People are coming to Clarksville from all over to get a job because we're one of the fastest growing in the country. Well, when you have the positive increasing, you're going to have the negative. People are on their last dollar when they get here. If that job falls through. So when you have the positive growth, you also have the negative growth. You can look at the crime in their community and see that as well.
Yeah. Well, I read in the Leaf Chronicle that they think the homelessness situation in Clarksville is decreasing and that the numbers are going down. Are you seeing that through your work at Manna Cafe? Are you seeing a lot more people finally get off the streets and get that job to get that apartment, or does it seem to just stay level?
Well, it's really hard to judge because the population is very transient. So in some ways they have to move in order to survive, and if there are very few panhandle, let's get this out there, about less than 10% of your homeless population panhandle. They're the ones that get all the attention. But the ones who panhandle, if they can only stay in one location so long, people figure them out or whatever, so they have to move on. New faces, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They are very transient. So to say that it is decreasing, I don't know that it is, because nationwide it's not. You see, it's not just a Clarksville problem; it's a national problem, and any of your major cities, your shelters are full. I mean, this is just not a thing where Clarksville doesn't have enough shelters. Even in Nashville, there's not enough shelters. You look at San Francisco and Portland, where there's a huge homeless population. Their shelters are full. They've been at this for years and years. Even to the point a lot of major towns are looking at the micro homes or tent cities as sanctioned tent cities or tolerated tent cities for people to stay, because there's not beds in a lot of the shelters, or the guidelines are so rigid that the people can't stay there, or they fit through the cracks, but they still don't have a place to go at night. It's hard out there on the streets.
Yeah. So I know earlier you said volunteers could go to the website. Are there any restrictions age-wise on volunteers as to what they can do to help out the Manna Cafe? Yeah,
normally we say 13 and up, but if a family unit is wanting to come, say mom and dad and a couple kids, and one of them is 8 or 9 or 10, if they're together, we can do stuff like make up the food boxes, or stuff like that. There's things to do. We even do like Boy Scout troops and Cub Scout troops and Girl Scout troops that can come in and work together and make up food boxes. That way we can control the environment. We'll let younger ones come. So we try to be as family friendly as possible. We even have homeschoolers who have come and do that as far as their outlet, if you will.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything else that the Manna Cafe is looking for or needs in this upcoming holiday season?
Your prayers, and there's just a lot going on these days. There's hopefully some exciting news coming in the future, so stay tuned.
Oh, well, hopefully we'll have another interview with you soon about that.
And I just want to say thank you. I spoke at a thing for United Way yesterday, and I enjoy doing that type of stuff. And the reason I told them that, and this too, is I don't always get a chance to say thank you. Yeah. Too, because for us to grow the way we've grown, we didn't want to be that big, but the need is so big that we've tried to fill as much of the void as we can. But we couldn't do that without the community's help, without the community getting behind us and offering to do what they do, and actually to volunteer with us. The community has done this. We've just gave them the opportunity to do this because we're so volunteer driven. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I know there's some people listening who've volunteered and rolled up their sleeves and donated. So. Yep.
Well, also to our listeners that are listening, 91.9 is hosting a food drive to benefit the Manna Cafe as well as the SOS food pantry for students here at Austin Peay. So if you have donations or you want to find out more on how to volunteer, you can check out the 91.9 Facebook page, and you can also drop off the donations on campus at the communications building, the library, and the University Center. We have boxes located there, and also we have boxes on the Fort Campbell Austin Peay campus.
Awesome.
So donations can be taken to any of those locations, and we'll pick them up and sort them out, and we'll be getting those to the Manna Cafe and the SOS Food Pantry on the 16th because the drive runs until the 15th. So hopefully we'll have a big donation for you guys soon.
Awesome.
So thank you, Kenny, for coming in and talking with us today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you've got a lot of appointments the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's crazy this time of year.
But we just really appreciate you coming in. And again, I'm Rebecca Nanney with 91.9's newsroom interview about the Manna Cafe.